All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on August 12th, 2025, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present. I will ask Commissioner Thomas to do the invocation, and then I'd ask everybody to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather again today. Continue to guide our footsteps as we make the decisions for the city. Allow us to have the wisdom to make the right decisions for all that reside here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item up is a presentation on the Greenway Trail extension, and I'll let Hope Reasons do the introductions.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. It's been almost 2 years now since we first had our first meeting about the Greenway Trail, and we have been through a lot of steps over those 2 years. And so I am really excited to stand up here and introduce Russ Clark with the National Park Service. He is going to do a presentation over the steps that we have taken and what the proposed Greenway Trail, the path of that is going to look like. We also have Austin Hart here with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. He can answer questions about the state's part in this process. And we also have several of our steering committee members here tonight who have committed a lot of time and effort to this project. And so I'm really happy to recognize them and have them here tonight. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Russ Clark.
Thank you very much, Hope. First of all, why is the national park here? Why are we involved in any community outside of national parks? I represent a division of the National Park Service called the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. And we provide free technical planning assistance to municipalities, tribal nations, nonprofit organizations, and state and federal agencies. And this is done through an application process. I'm a landscape architect. I'm based out of Mammoth Cave, and my area of responsibility is Kentucky to provide this assistance. So with that, I would like to kind of give you an overview of what we've been doing over the last couple of years, working with the citizens here in Paducah, trying to put forth the vision of how to expand the greenway system that you have in place at this point. So we started with organizational development. You have a great idea, you want to expand it in the south side, but how do we do that? And then how do we strategically move forward with that process? So part of our effort in assisting a community is helping with organizational development. And so we established a city leadership team, and we established a steering committee of community members. And then we started a project partners meeting, bringing everybody together, and did a tour of the community on a bus to help everybody get on the same level of what the possibilities might be within the city of Paducah. Then we went into a strategic planning workshop process. That primary effort was to put the vision down in terms of what we are trying to accomplish, establishing an analysis through SWOT of what the possibilities might be, and some brainstorming, ultimately leading to some goals of what this project was, how we're going to accomplish the project, and then establishing subcommittees within the steering committee to help move those goals forward. And the goals that we came up with were connecting neighborhoods, creating an urban loop, offering community education on the value of the expansion of the Greenway, implementing a complete streets process, and looking at improving safety as well as bolster the economic development in the area, and have Paducah become known as the destination for attracting visitors and new residents, and then Paducah as a great place to build a life and raise a family. And it's all quality of life factors when you put these types of recreation amenities forth. The accomplishments over the course of the planning process, we had 12 planning meetings. We had over 14 months and with city leadership team and steering committee members. And we had a strategic planning workshop in December 23 and January 24. And then we engaged in a public engagement process, which the staff was a tremendous asset in putting together leaflets and reaching out to the community and trying to engage folks to come to those public meetings, because there are always so many public meetings that involved through the process of community development. So we did 2 community meetings over a couple-day process and 7 focus groups, and we did an online survey to collect additional information. I'm sorry, next slide, there we go. What we heard was we had 435 responses to the survey, which was fantastic. We had 128 participants in the 2 public meetings and the 7 focus groups looking at economic development, the cyclists, the runners, the health and wellness community, young professionals, and trail-adjacent businesses, as well as city staff. Each of these focus groups came and worked with us on the maps, providing ideas, looking at concerns, and providing their input on what this vision might look like for the south side expansion of the Greenway. And there were over 900 flyers distributed through this process. 50% of the responses was safety. Safety was the #1 concern for folks that responded to the survey. 39% was looking at personal safety concerns, as well as cycling safety, and 33% indicated that they'd really like to have barriers if possible to help separate cycling and vehicular traffic where that's possible. They also indicated that they're looking for comfort and conveniences. Restrooms, #1. #2, water stations, places to get drink and fill up a water bottle. And 29% of the residents said they'd like to have shade trees along this corridor as well. And the other, in terms of amenities, was it's important to expand this greenway system into more areas of the community, even beyond the south side. And so we did look at multiple alternatives through this process. So in the planning process, we came up with a recommendation, and this is the initial recommendation of getting from the riverfront down to the Wayne Sullivan area of the community of the south side, where the commercial development is, where there's employment opportunities, where there are services for the residents. And we broke that down into 2 phases. The first phase was from riverfront to Bridge Street, looking at a couple loops in there, utilizing primarily on-street bike lanes in lower volume traffic roadways, where the safety aspect is important, and we're looking at connecting the assets of this neighborhood together, being parks and services. The second phase of this project is Ivan Cobb as a complete street, looking at being able to provide the safety considerations for walkers, for cyclists, and for vehicles, and that is a complete different type of effort in most cases, and Austin will be talking a little bit more about that aspect, because this is a state corridor. And that gets us down into that service area that was the destination focus for this expansion. We had a community review of these master plan concepts in May. I wasn't able to attend at that point, but your staff did a great job. You had some tremendous input, and a survey was also posted again to provide input on the actual recommendations of the 2 phases. The results of that were, in the first phase, we had 205 responses, and 48% of those responses indicated they were in favor of this section of trail and the proposed locations, and they indicated the need to have the protected bike lanes to the greatest extent possible. Some of the comments were add some fun things along the corridor, security and lighting, and a trail along the levee was another desired element. In the second phase, we had 187 responses. 67% were in favor of this section of the trail. And to me, that spoke volumes of looking at this as a complete street. And 9% identified safety concerns as well. Adding shade trees, lighting below the tree level, and loop in Old Mayfield Road was another comment. But the important amenities, again, 62% said restrooms, 56% said trail maps, and where are you and where are you going? And then educational signage, 33%. Other needed amenities would be emergency call stations, shade and shelter, as well as water stations, as previously mentioned. We asked the survey residents where this should expand outward to, and I was really happy to see the results of this, primarily because the next phase of my involvement is I'm looking at helping the greater area development district look at connectivity for additional trails throughout the purchase ad region. So I'll give a little more on that in a moment. But 51% of the survey residents said we need to expand westward. 31% said we need to expand southward. 30% said southeast, and 49% said east. And there was a comment about 35% really wanting to get the loop on the flood wall. And there was a comment in there about going north, across the river into Illinois. And I think that is an excellent suggestion. The bridge may not be capable of doing that today, but bridges get replaced. And so it's very important that this community understand if that's the objective, that they get that into their basic planning process so that the Department of Transportation is aware that that is a desire of this community to provide a multi-purpose trail across the river to connect to Illinois. So several alternatives were explored in this process, and I just want to say that this leads to a great foundation for further study by the city to look at more connectivity to the greenway over time and serving more of your neighborhoods within the city. A huge thank you to the city staff and the steering committee volunteers from all areas of experience, and I can tell you that the success of this project is based on the effort that these people put into it. We would not be here today without their participation and commitment to move this vision forward. Our recommendations, pretty straightforward. We have an RFQ process coming forth, get into the preliminary engineering, the probable cost, and the potential phasing of implementation, coordinate with the Kentucky Department of Transportation, seek the funding, the final engineering, and the construction to implement your first phases of the project. I highly recommend that the community update their bike ped master plan to reflect some of the findings of this particular project and the recommendations of expansion outward from not only the city but into the county and into other parts of the region, helping to make Paducah the hub of this area in terms of cycling. You have that opportunity. And then continue to engage with the Regional Trails Planning Initiative that will be happening with the Purchase Area Development District. I will begin meeting with the Purchase Area Development District next month to start the discussions to set up a committee to move that vision forward throughout the Purchase Ad to look at connectivity for all the areas within the area between the Mississippi River and the land between the lakes. The results of this process are pretty straightforward. A plan that can grow with your community. Safer routes to schools, workplaces, healthcare, and shops. A greenway system with lane types that promote safe conditions. A plan to make Arvin Cobb into a complete street. And then a future vision for regional connectivity. And with that, I would really like to thank you for inviting us into your community to assist you with this process. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have before I turn it over to Austin to talk some more details about the Kentucky Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Russ. You know, I've not been quite as involved in this process along the way as a lot of our staff has, and I would echo some of your comments about appreciation for all the time that
Right.
not only the staff but volunteers in the community put into it. I think we've got a really good start, and I appreciate we all appreciate all the effort that you put into it as well.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for Russ from the presentation? I really like the idea of going north, south, east, and west. And, I sit on a metropolitan planning organization that Brookport sits on as well. And, we have that Brookport Bridge, which,
Right.
at times is a little scary. But there's been some discussion in that meeting, actually, about, how you would get a bike.
Right.
Because the bike trail across the bridge.
Right.
Because that opens up a lot of,
Yes, it does.
a lot of new territory over them.
It does, and there's great bicycle routes already in place there. And as this area continues to grow, that connection becomes very critical.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Austin?
Austin?
Thanks, Russ. Good evening. My name's Austin Hart. I do work with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet here in District 1 at our Reedland office. I'm in the project development branch, so I work with the mayor on the MPO committee and others. And really my goal is to be able to take these ideas, put them forth through our project development, go through right away, and in turn hand that over to the construction folks and actually build these. So we do have a couple pieces, one that was already ongoing. So I've been a part of the steering committee since it started, and we were also able to work through, you all may be familiar with the old term of lane diets or road diets. That's an upcoming project we have on Kentucky Avenue, where you take what's kind of a narrow 4-lane section, you convert it into 3 lanes, and you add bike lanes on both sides, similar to what the city did on Bridge Street several years back. So that's a project we just awarded to Jim Smith Contracting last month. That'll start there at 3rd Street and go all the way to 28th Street, go by Baptist Health and across the railroad tracks and all of it. We're pretty excited about that one. It was a piece that we had on our radar for several years. And looking at the presentation that Russ just gave about the complete street on Irvin Cobb, that's a piece that we're looking at. It's currently in our planning process where we look and we'll go ahead and do those cost estimates and also look and see how long that may take to develop. So right now, the piece that we're specifically looking at would be where phase 1 of the Greenway Trail expansion would end there at Bridge Street, and we look at from Bridge Street back up to Wayne Sullivan, with the thought that we'd really be trying to increase accessibility to the businesses and other commercial interests that's there. As part of the steering committee, we looked at several different things of expanding to the levee wall that would go back over to Husbands Road and would go across, the extension of Bridge Street, Mayor. What is it on our?
Old Benton Road?
Old Benton Road, that's it. Well, we looked at extending the Greenway up through there, and that's one we're still looking at internally, even though it wasn't the final map that was unveiled. There's several projects like that we're looking at internally. It's still on our radar that
Right.
we're moving through. But the one thing that I would really like to commend you all on, and the members of the public here, is the survey responses. Those are excellent numbers. 450 responses, that's 4 or 5 times what we would typically see. We have several other planning studies going on across the district. I just want to say, we hear all of those comments. We really take them to heart, and that influences what we do and what decisions we make. So I really want to commend you all on getting that kind of outreach here, getting those responses. We don't always see that, and it's nice to be able to have that kind of data to back it up and really show what we need to do. So thank you all for allowing us to come in and help you all push forward a new vision for the Paducah area.
Thanks, Austin. Just a couple of comments maybe, and I don't know if anybody else. I mean, I have been working with Austin on this project, and, I am guilty. I'm a cyclist, so I have a little bit, maybe more passion than the average person for this. But just talking about the complete street, there on Irvin Cobb, I guess, how long would that process take, you think? Because that's kind of important for the next phase.
It is. It's important. So what we're really looking at now is the addition of sidewalks and multi-use paths. So for us, a sidewalk is generally 4 or 5 feet wide. A multi-use path is 8 10 or 12 foot wide. Typically,
Right.
it's 8 to 10. The piece that we just built on Friendship Road over in the Lone Oak area, that was 8 foot wide, just to
Okay.
give everybody kind of a visual of what that is. So we're looking at probably 8 foot wide multi-use path there on the north side of the road, kind of going through where the CFSB Bank is now, Merco, up through like the Salvation Army side.
Yeah.
That's really what we're looking at. To answer your question as far as when and how long, it's more along the lines of a 2-3 year process. There is some hope that some of that area is on right of way. And if we're able to keep it all on state-owned right of way, we could probably move that up as early as 1.5 years. But realistically, I would say it's 2 years or so out.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to comment about was, and I know a lot of cyclists have been involved, and not just me, but trying to determine, really where the Greenway Trail should go, from that point out. I mean, I think there's a strong desire to get on the flood wall, on the levee, like we're on the levee down here, downtown. But it's not so easy out that way because we go across so many railroad tracks. And the railroads, in particular, are just not particularly happy about having bike paths come across.
They're not particularly happy about roads going across them either. We do work with them on that. So one of the things we looked at with the steering committee was, maybe putting the idea out there of an elevated crossing of Clarks River Road.
Yeah.
There at the Hardee's area, and that would benefit you in 2 ways. One, you'd be elevated over the state roadway without the need for a crosswalk, and then it would also set you up to be elevated over the rail tracks. I think that's the only real viable crossing that's there. It's been done elsewhere in the area.
Sure.
I know the city of Hopkinsville has done something very similar on a trail program there. We would definitely be a willing partner with the city on that. So there's certain places like that we've looked at. We looked at Old Benton Road, also crossing there,
Right.
and that was one that it would have been an at-grade crossing, and railroad wasn't a big fan of that. And considering the amount of upgrades we would need on Old Benton Road, that wasn't our primary choice either.
Yeah.
So there's several places there like that we would be willing to, make minor improvements so quickly, or major improvements, as we were able to plan through. Really just depends on where you all would like to go with that. And I know Russ was mentioning, as you all were to bring an engineering firm in and kind of hone in on some of that, that's something we would be able to work with them on as they go through that process too.
Well, I guess the point being, there's still a lot of work to be done, but we got to get started on the next phase. So we'll put the RFQ out to see what we can do on phase 1. And I do agree, I don't know who's responsible for updating, the trail plan or what, but that is something that we definitely need to update with all this work to make sure that, is there and validated for the future. And I know that you've put a lot of time and effort into this and representing, the first district. And I just want you to know we appreciate it. State's been a great partner for us. We're very appreciative.
We're here to help when we can.
All right, thank
Can I
you.
ask again what the date was on Kentucky Avenue?
Yes, it was just awarded to Jim Smith Contracting last month. I was doing some checking this afternoon to see, I don't know that they've actually signed a contract on it. Awards were given out last week, 2 weeks ago. I doubt we see any of that work take place this fall. So my expectation is you would see that take place early in the spring next year.
Okay.
Their schedules are fairly booked up at this time of year. So if we see it coming any sooner, we'll make sure to put a press release out, but I'd expect it to be in the spring.
Okay, thank you.
That's a big change. That's going to be a big change, so. All right, thank you, Austin. Thank you very much. Okay, city manager, before we move on, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, we have 2 people here with public comments, and the first one is Bonnie Koblitz, did I say? Koblitz, I apologize. Come right on up. Just, if you would, state your name and tell us where you live.
Okay. My name is Bonnie Koblitz. I live at 13050 Woodville Road out by Kevel. I'm within the county, but I'm not within the city limits. And I so appreciate you guys being willing to let me speak this evening. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to give an opinion on something that's important to me. That Greenway Trail expansion sounds wonderful, and it was interesting to me that there was lots of public input and opportunity for public input into the new plans. And alongside that, there's a project out near where I live, 2 miles from my house, at the USEC plant, that, to my knowledge, no public input opportunities have been available. I've missed if there was a letter that went out to nearby community members asking for their input or to come to meetings to get information. I missed that letter, and I'm assuming that the city supports this project. And I know I've been in touch with the county commissioners to meet with them regarding this lack of public input. That property, that former USEC project, has a history of contamination and illness and injury on the part of the employees that live there. And I know that many people in the community are in favor of it because of job opportunities, which according to last night's meeting, are very good job opportunities. But I'm concerned about health and safety and environment, and I'm also concerned about the use of electricity and the use of water in this area. And I think even more than electricity and power, I think that water is one of our basic needs. And I would hope that in the future, there could be ways for the public to respond to what's happening out there. I know the process is already in play. I know the groundbreaking happened on Friday last week. And so my expectations are not very high for making any difference here. But I'm very distressed that there was no opportunity for the public to give input on this project. And I live 2 miles from USEC. I'm old enough that if there was an accident there, I'd probably already be dead. But there are many people who have children and grandchildren that could be affected by some accident that happened there. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your time.
Thank you very much. And I'll just make a couple of statements relative. I mean, we've been working on the reindustrialization of that site for a couple of years. And as part of the reindustrialization, there's been a lot of discussion about public input, out there, and it's been discussed more than once, and so there has been plans roughly made, nothing for sure, but there's been discussion about public input. This particular project happened very quickly and was driven, by the United States government, at the very top of our government, the president himself. And so there wasn't a lot of time, for this. But I certainly do appreciate your comments, and we'll see how things roll out there. So thank you for coming. And one more person, Mike Muscarella.
Good evening. Mayor, City Manager, City Commissioners, and City Clerk. My name's Mike Muscarella. I live at 72 Martin Circle here in the city, and I'm just a part of a lot of the initiatives that the city has taken to improve our neighborhoods, especially on the south side, and initiatives like the Greenway Trail, and initiatives that are working to help take care of our most delicate residents with the warming center. And all I wanted to do is say thank you for your support, thank you for the commitment that you have for the health of the individuals that live in our city and the neighborhoods that we live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. And before we get into the consent agenda, I have a couple of things I wanted to mention. Friday night, early Saturday morning, we had a tragic event take place. It was the same weekend as as the city celebrates the Emancipation Proclamation, and it's been going on here for a long time. August 8th, and this particular event was not associated in particular, with the August 8th activities, but it happened and coincided with that weekend. One person lost their life. There's another person that's still in critical condition, and I actually saw some video today from the event, and I just wanted to, we put out a press release talking about, the commission, I think we're all unified in, in how disappointed we are, with actually what happened. But I guess one of the things I would say is there has to be some change, going forward in that particular event and the way that we handle that particular event or events like that. And I just want to make it clear, that the city, is not going to tolerate, that kind of behavior, whether it be from citizens inside the city or outside the city. And so there's still investigation going on, and I don't want to make a lot of remarks. We're still looking through it, but it was a tragic event. We're all disappointed, and we are going to take some action. So that was one of the more negative things that I guess I had to talk about. But on a positive note, I'd like to congratulate our Mayor Pro Tem and CEO of the Chamber for winning Chamber of the Year in our category of chambers all over the United States. Our local Chamber of Commerce, leads a lot of initiatives here, advocacy, and a lot of other things. And I just wanted to offer my congratulations publicly.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. City Clerk will read the items recommended for approval unless one of our commissioners has an item they'd like to put off.
I was curious about item G, about the approval for Barkley Airport.
Okay, we can, we'll pull that one off. Anybody else? Okay, please read the items.
Approve minutes for the July 22nd, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents. Reappointment of Karami Underwood to the Paducah McCracken County Senior Citizens Board. This term shall expire June 30th, 2028. Joint appointment of Kimberly Davis to the Paducah McCracken County Convention Center Board to replace Tom Paget, who resigned. This term shall expire June 30th, 2026. Appointment of Laura Grumley to the Paducah Transit Authority Board to replace Mary Byrne, who's resigned. This term shall expire June 30th, 2026. Personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing a contract with Carasoft in the amount of $89,690.64 for Microsoft 365 licensing on NASPO contract AR 2472 and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Asset Works in the amount of $142,172 on GSA contract for work order modules for parks maintenance, facilities maintenance, solid waste, and street divisions. A municipal order authorizing and approving a contract amendment number 1 between the City of Paducah and Tetra Tech in the amount of $36,300 and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the purchase of solid waste dumpsters, lids, and replacement parts in an amount not to exceed $160,000 from Waste Equip through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing for fiscal year 2025 through 2026, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the finance director to make payment to Wilson Equipment Company for the purchase of one track skid steer in the amount of $82,708.28 for use by the Public Works Street Department, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order approving a fleet maintenance, motorized equipment, and emergency apparatus service agreement with Kentucky Fire Commission State Fire Rescue Training to provide fleet maintenance services at hourly rates, and authorizing the execution of all documents related to same. A municipal order accepting the bid of Linwood Motors for sale to the city of one one-ton service truck in the total amount of $138,373 for use by the Public Works Department Fleet Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. A municipal order adopting contract modification number 1 to the contract with Communications International Incorporated, extending the timing of testing of radio coverage, and authorizing the mayor to execute the change order. A municipal order adopting contract modification number 2 to the construction contract with A&K Construction for the Paducah Sports Park project to extend the contract by 73 days, and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract modification and all other documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing and directing the engineering department to release a request for qualifications for design, engineering, and construction administration for the Greenway Trail Southside expansion, Greenway Trail Phase 7. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a grant application and all documents necessary through the FEMA Port Security Grant Program for a fiscal year 2025 port security grant for an amount not to exceed $50,000 for the Paducah Police Department to purchase additional cameras for the riverfront.
So moved.
Second. Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So the first item will be the item we pulled off? Okay, so go ahead and read it, please.
Proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Barkley Regional Airport in the amount of $120,000 for general aviation and air carrier services.
Yeah, I just had a question about it. I didn't know what.
Hang on.
I'm sorry.
So moved. Second.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. No, it caught my eye, and I was curious what those funds are used for. I never knew that we gave money to the airport like that. So.
And just for the great question, thank you for asking and for clarification. Annually, the city, as part of its budget process, has, for a number of years, has provided additional funding to support the aviation, the project to run the airport. And as part of the budget process this year, we did allocate $120,000, which is the amount of money that we have allocated in recent years. It's similar to, and it is for the for just the general activities to take care to meet the shortfall of the required expenses that are not covered by federal funds or other funds out there. And so it's part of the budget process. We do allocate it out in 4 installments of $30,000 apiece.
Okay.
So a little more context. I was on the board and chairman for a couple of years. So essentially, we give $120,000. I believe the county does as well. I believe it's pretty close to the same amount of money. It's used for operations. The airport actually operates at a loss. They have landing fees and whatnot, but none of the ticket revenue or any of that goes toward the airport. The city and county actually own the airport together. So it's our responsibility. So, if they can't operate, or if they operate at more of a loss, then then we're going to have to step up. But they use grants and, they get grants for a lot of their big projects, but this is for the salaries and the operation of the airport.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank
And
you.
and one more thing, and I believe it's been this amount of money every single year for the last several.
It has been since my tenure, so
Yeah.
we're going into the fourth budget
So it's
that
been
I'm aware of.
$120,000 a year. So, okay, call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have 3 grants to award tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to read the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Contract with Paducah Interfaith Ministry, doing business as Paducah Cooperative Ministry, PCM, in the amount of $50,000 for emergency shelter services, including maintenance and utilities, food and hygiene items, and other operational needs."
So moved.
Second.
Good evening. So back in May, we released an application process for some homeless services grants and made it available for our local agencies to submit proposals. As part of that process, we received 4 proposals, and 3 of those are being presented tonight. The first one is for Paducah Cooperative Ministry. They have requested $50,000 to go towards their emergency shelter that they are developing, also towards food, hygiene items, and basic supplies for the guests that they serve, and then 10% of that towards operational costs like staffing, utilities, and administrative work. One of the conditions for this application was that they match the funding dollar for dollar, and they have provided that match as well. And so tonight I'm asking that you all approve that contract with them for them to deliver these services.
Okay. Any comments or? Why don't you, I want to make sure if anybody's got any comments or questions, but while you're here, you want to just go over the others and we can vote on them individually. I know we have to vote on them individually, but you want to talk about the other 2?
Certainly. The second one we received and that we're discussing tonight is for Family Service Society. They also requested $50,000. They are going to use the funding for those that are at imminent risk of losing their housing or those that are unhoused and are wanting to get back into permanent housing. So those funds are going to be used for rent payments. They'll also be used for utility payments. They will also be providing some case management services as part of this process. And they plan to serve about 140 households with the funding. They have also provided the $50,000 match for the $50,000 that they have requested.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I ask a question? How do we know that, this city taxpayer money, so the money should probably go toward benefiting our citizens? How do we know that the money for like the utilities and all is devoted to city residents?
So that is one of the requirements that we discuss with the agencies. We do this with grant and aid as well. There are a number of agencies here locally that serve a mix of individuals, and so we do ask that they use our funding for Paducah citizens.
Okay. And we've asked and they have committed to that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, you want to go over the third one?
Yes.
And then we'll discuss them all.
Okay, the third one is Washington Street Community Development Corporation, doing business as Washington Street Community Warming Center. They have requested $25,000 for part-time support for an individual to help support the services that they are providing at the warming center. They have historically relied on volunteers, and they need someone that can operationally help coordinate those volunteers, help with food coordination, soliciting donations, items like that. So they have requested $25,000, and they are also matching that with $25,000.
Okay, all right, great. So just a little bit of context, this grant process really came out of, our strategic planning session, when we started talking about our focus for this year, and there was a big discussion about, homeless services in the city and what role the city played. We debated that, back and forth, but I think that we all recognize that there are agencies out there doing great work, and so we wanted to offer, this grant opportunity. And so these three agencies have come forward, and they're clearly doing fabulous work, trying to help a homeless population. Every city in America, has this issue, some more than others. It's hard to know exactly, how to address it and what to do, but, the city is certainly trying to do our part and recognize the people that are doing great work out there. And I know Paducah Cooperative Ministry, you've had lots of discussions with Lacey, and I have a history actually with Family Service Society going back a few years. And then, of course, Commissioner Henderson, our own commissioner and pastor of the Washington Street Baptist Church, has provided strong leadership for the warming center. And so I'm really happy that we were able to make these grants. Any other?
Yeah, so I remember the original plan was 150,000 allocated. What happens with the remaining 25 that goes unused?
So we've kept that in a project fund, and depending on which direction the commission may want to look, you've got several options there. You could do some more smaller grants. We could look for some additional funding to add that to, or find some, additional projects that you may want to do. But that would be a discussion and a decision by the commission. But right now we do have those funds set aside, and they're not just they're in a project account for homeless services.
Okay.
Any other? Okay. All right, we'll vote on these individually. So I'll ask for the clerk to read the first one.
I've read the first one. I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry. Call roll.
Call roll on the first. Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And so I ask the city clerk to read the second one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Family Service Society Incorporated in the amount of $50,000 for utility and rental payments for individuals and families at imminent risk of becoming homeless, along with staff costs.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Commissioner Henderson is going to step away from the dais as we vote on, the agency that he's been involved with. So I'll ask the city clerk to call roll.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Washington Street Community Development Corporation, doing business as the Washington Street Warming Center, in the amount of $25,000 for administrative support for the Warming Center.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
We're sorry.
It was 2-2. All right, I'll ask the city clerk to please read the next municipal order.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the submission of the 2025 through 2030 Paducah Consolidated Plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for Community Development Block Grant Funding, and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all required documents.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hope, tell us about the consolidated plan.
Okay, so last year in September, We received an initial notice that Paducah was being considered as an entitlement community for community development block grant funds, whereas historically in the past, we have had to apply for those competitively at the state level. What this would do would change that for Paducah, and we would be allocated a certain amount of dollars each federal fiscal year to implement different types of projects here in Paducah. In May, we were notified that we were definitely receiving $583,406 as an entitlement community. We received that notice. As part of that, we are required to submit this 5-year consolidated plan to HUD and a 1-year action plan. That it was a rather lengthy process. We went through data collection, reviewing city plans, the commission priorities, looking at the joint comprehensive plan, stormwater, parks, all of those things. I held 2 focus groups with different local agencies. There were about 15 local agencies that participated in these focus groups. Should go back and add that this fund is to be used toward low and moderate income individuals in the community for housing and economic development. We also had 2 community meetings, one at the library, one here at City Hall. And from all of this information that we have obtained, the data and the input and the plans, we've come up with 3 goals, 3 areas that we would like to target with this funding. The first one being neighborhood revitalization. Funds would be used to increase and preserve affordable housing options for the community for the low moderate income individuals. The second goal is to improve local infrastructure and public facilities. This would be guided by the Paducah Facilities Survey and Plan, the Comprehensive Stormwater Plan, the Parks Master Plan. It would be to improve our aging infrastructure and improve quality of life in line with the commission priorities. And then the third area is to increase economic development initiatives, increasing business and economic development opportunities for low and moderate income residents, increasing job opportunities and salaries and pay rates. So with that, I'm asking you all to approve tonight for us to submit this plan to HUD along with our 1-year action plan so that we may receive this entitlement funding.
I'd like to make a comment, and that is just, I attended one of the hearings, and Hope does an excellent job with this.
Thank you.
Very inclusive, and she just gets a lot of people talking, and you do a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, any other comments from anyone? So, this is very positive that we achieved this status, and we don't have to apply for individual grants. And really, that's a recognition of our growth in the community. So we achieved this CDBG status, based upon the growth and progress that we've made in the community. So now that we've got these funds, we'll be able to use them in a manner that that makes some sense, and we don't have to apply individually.
Yes.
So.
Yes,
Anything to add?
Mayor, thank you for that additional information. The other side of that also is, as an entitlement community, you're right, we are not having to compete against other small cities, communities across the state for those limited funds, and it does give us a sense of an annual basis of, a regular income from this program into us that we'll be able to use. And so initially, when we received the first notification, they reached out to me and said, hey, this is coming. Would you accept it? And the body said, we took a vote to say, yes, we would. And we were only thinking about 470 or 80,000 of that. And that, by the time that they ran their numbers and the formula that the Fed used, that jumped up substantially. And so our hope is that going forward over the next 4 or 5 years, that number would stay, the same or even increase. And so instead of us being relegated to making an application once every couple of years until a project was closed out and maybe have a maximum of $1 million, over the same period of time, we're going to actually probably double the amount of money that we would have to put back towards these areas that meet the national objectives under the CDBG program.
Okay. Could I ask you to call roll?
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Thank you,
All
Hope.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.
So we have one ordinance to adopt and 4 to introduce tonight. So I'll ask the city clerk to please read the first adoption.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing and approving the Southside Revitalization Plan, establishing and designating the Southside Program Area, and designating the Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency of Paducah with the authority to implement the plan and oversee the administration of the plan for the revitalization of the Southside Program Area. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance adopts the Southside Revitalization Plan as an addendum to the City of Paducah Comprehensive Plan. The development and program area is located within the city and is hereby established and is designated the Southside Program Area. The Southside Program Area, as described in the plan, consists of 8 main neighborhoods: Walter Jeton, Uppertown, River Park, Cobb Park, Farley Place, Littleville, Dolly McNutt, and Ella Munnell, and covers 3.3 square miles and contains 3,678 parcels of land.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so are there any questions about this? This has been a long time coming. Carol, you want to come up? And just remind us of where we are in the process. The process that we've gone through, where we are today, and so everybody has a good understanding of where we are with Southside.
Absolutely. So as you all know, we have had public hearings, we've had community meetings for over 2 years. A steering committee met on the south side, and we carved out a small test pilot area to try some incentives and to get general feedback. Those were the first steps in creating that neighborhood revitalization plan that we met about over 4 years ago, if you'll recall. It was right after you had taken office, Mayor Bray. And so at that time is when it started. We have come this far, and so now we finally have a plan in place. And tonight, once you vote, that'll be the final action to set the wheels in motion to have that first phase 1 area for a revitalization plan that will encompass the whole area from Kentucky over to Caldwell, from the loop there on 3rd over to what we refer to as the railroad tracks at 10th Street. And we will start with incentives and then break apart, if you will, or reconstitute URCDA. And we have a timeline that will start in September with the next steps, which will be reconstituting URCDA. We've got some ordinances that were the test or pilot ordinances that we'll need to repeal. I met today with the attorney's office, and I turned in a spreadsheet to Michelle of, it's probably 5 pages. When she asked, it's probably 5 pages about how the budget will look and how it's going to be appropriated. And Nancy worked really hard, and she has the experience of having done it in Lowertown and in Fountain Avenue previously. So those are the next steps as to what will come. And I think that there'll be a community effort. You probably saw the first portion of that was rolled out on Saturday at Coleman Park with the I Am Southside campaign. And we're going to try to continue to build that community trust. And then, of course, CFSB has stepped up to be a partner, and Angela Mathis and Rhonda Batts are here tonight showing their support because
Raise your hands, ladies. Welcome.
they've come to show their support and offering the up to the 100% financing, all the things that we've talked about. But they've carved out a plan specifically for that phase 1 area as well.
And what's the next step with developers or, incentives and?
So once the incentives are rolled out and adopted, we have something to sell, which will happen over the next month to 6 weeks. We've already met with these ladies, and they're going to host a breakfast for the developers there in that CFSB community room on the south side. And then we're also going to host a luncheon for the pastors, because what we've learned is there are so many churches in that Phase 1 area, and they really have their they really have their finger on the pulse, is a better way to say it, of the community. And so we thought that might be a good way to start getting the word out about what we have to offer. But it'll be everything across the board, from small things to big things. We're kind of treating the developers as that's a commercial component, but we have things to help people with landscaping or a new roof or things that address the interior as well.
I mean, it's been a long time coming.
It has been.
And at times, no offense to anybody, it's been like a little bit like watching paint dry. And only because it's just taken, that long. And so I think all of us in the community are looking for those action steps, to move forward. And so it's a very important milestone.
It's a huge milestone, and the majority of the department is here tonight, and they're so excited because once you vote yes, they can take off running. I mean, there are so many things that have to be in balance in regards to the statute that I think we learned along the way as well, because none of us had ever done a revitalization plan. So, but they're all here sitting on go, I think. They're all waving back there.
All right, if you're gonna take off running, maybe the city needs to buy you some track shoes
I was thinking skates.
or skates. But
I just would like to also recognize CFSB. I mean, this is an important component of that, is people can get finance. I know they have to meet, qualifications and all, but that's really kind of the oil for the machinery. So thank you all I know that it's not without risk too, so thank you all.
yeah, 100% financing is a big move. And I know Angela, I know all of you all have helped try to help people with credit scores and everything else, educate people on how to get their financing together, and those that need it and are going to continue, and it's much appreciated. So, okie dokie.
Do you have a question?
I was just, all of this for Phase 1 is all centered around housing,
Correct.
correct? So there will be additional phases coming in. but this one-
Absolutely.
And so how do people get to, you're going to have a meeting at CFSB, and it'll be, all of that will be advertised coming up, people who are interested.
We have a quarterly newsletter that's going to go out to every resident and property owner in that area.
Okay.
There are multiple things that we're taking on through social media and working with Pam to be able to roll that out so that people will know we're here, we're available, and we want to work with them. And no matter how large or how small the project is, we'll have something that I think we'll be able to contribute.
And there will be some knocking on some doors and some personal
Absolutely.
interaction with folks.
Absolutely, and there's already been some of that, where they're taking the inventory. Wes and Palmer have been out in the neighborhood, but once they get that inventory, then we're gonna follow up with, some community meetings and some door hangers, just to make sure that they know what's happening in their neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I want somebody to tap me on the shoulder, to knock on some doors with you, Palmer, all of you. So,
Commissioner Thomas has already got his name on the list, so absolutely,
I
we'll
think
be
we all
glad to
have
do it.
before done that.
We have?
and Happy to do it again.
That, we were hoping that you would step up to do that. That's one of the reasons we did the yellow shirts, the way that we did them, so it shows.
So it
that
just wasn't giving us shirts to be nice.
we're expecting a little something in return.
But I think all of us have said that we want to do
You
that.
have,
We'll do that,
you have.
absolutely.
You absolutely have. Thank you.
okay, thank you. And I will ask the city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye?
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, I will ask, we have 4 ordinances to introduce tonight, and I will ask the city clerk to read the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2024-06-8815, entitled, an ordinance adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky annual operating budget for fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025 is adopted by ordinance 2024-06-8815, be amended by the following reappropriations. Transfer $5,300 from the insurance fund balance to the fiscal year 2025 deductible accounts, and transfer $200,000 from the health insurance fund balance to the fiscal year 2025 health insurance claims account.
So moved.
Second.
Audra?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. Tonight, I'm presenting to you a final budget amendment for fiscal year 2025. Both of our insurance funds, the general and the health, have exceeded appropriations. As Lindsay said, I'm requesting $5,300 in fund balance from the general insurance fund and $200,000 in fund balance from the health insurance fund to cover these additional expenditures. In each of these cases, our estimations of premiums and claims were exceeded. So that's why we have this amendment for you tonight.
So tell us a little bit more about, this is the second amendment we've had.
Yes,
And
yes.
we've had some discussions about that, so.
Back in June, we did an amendment for the health insurance fund. We seem to have had kind of a perfect storm this first half of the calendar year of multiple large claimants that are getting close to hitting the stop loss, but not quite. So we've had to pay. Now, we're going to start getting stop loss in the second half of the calendar year, reimbursements for some of those, but because our fiscal year ends in mid-calendar year, we're kind of taking that hit pretty hard these first 6 months. We met last week. It looks like some of these cases are resolving also, so that will hopefully lead to additional decrease for the second half of this calendar year. So really, it's a timing problem for the most part, and we've just had a few larger claimants to hit at the same time. Yes, sir.
Just make sure I understand. This is a fund that we keep. It's a little bit of a rainy day fund. If our
entire health insurance self-funded plan runs through this fund. So all of the premiums, employee contributions, all of our claims are paid out of it. Any kind of premiums, our stop loss premium or admin fees, all of that runs through this fund.
There's years though when we don't pay out all the money out of that fund.
Oh, yeah, the fund typically
so
does very well.
This is why we keep that fund.
Yes.
It's kind of a self-insurance.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes, we
occasionally
are.
we have to dip into that too.
Yes,
Okay.
and we've had a great run being self-insured. This fund has performed very well. We're in a good position to be able to handle these types of years. Very proud of this fund.
Good.
I wanted to,
go ahead.
we've had some internal discussions, and I just wanted to alert all the commissioners that, how many years has it been since we've not increased insurance premiums for employees?
It's been over 10.
I was thinking 12.
Yeah.
I don't have my notes there. in
That's
front of me,
really
but 12.
unheard of.
So long ago, I don't remember when the last time we increased premiums.
That's unheard of, and, I'm just alerting everybody to the fact that, that could be in jeopardy. If we have these kind of losses, that, we may be in a position to have to, certainly that will be a financial analysis and a consideration of the employees and everything, but I can't think of any private sector company that I've ever heard of, that's gone 12 years without raising insurance premiums. I mean, it's, so here we are.
Yes, sir. We
You know,
have a
at this-
great team that has worked on this over the years, and I do anticipate that there could be an increase this year. But also wanted to note on the general insurance fund, it's the same. This is a very small amendment, only $5,300. When we budget this in March, it's based on an estimate of what our renewals will be, and the renewal for these types of insurances is July 1st. So we're budgeting based on estimate, and we shot a little low, specifically with police liability this fiscal year.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Audra.
Thank you.
I'll ask the city clerk to read the second ordinance introduction.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2025-06-8847, entitled, an ordinance adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky annual operating budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government, and authorizing the payment in the amount of $643,446.89 for the purchase of a sidearm and knuckle boom for the Public Works Department. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026 is adopted by ordinance number 2025-06-8847, be amended by the following reappropriations to transfer $643,446.89 from the solid waste fund balance into solid waste vehicles account number 5,02209-5450. Further, the city is authorized to make payment to Stringfellow for the purchase of one PacMac knuckle boom in the amount of $229,337 and one Durapack sidearm at $414,109.89 from the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract for use by the Public Works Refuse Division.
So moved. Second.
Chris?
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. This just allows us to move forward with our plans of changes to the solid waste collection, recycling, and brush collection program. Gives us the equipment we need to make those more responsive to the citizens and operate better in the choices and wishes of you all as far as picking up brush and expanding recycling.
Which is one of the ordinances, one of the other ordinances we're getting ready to introduce.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the equipment that you need in order to affect the changes in the brush pickup and all the things that we've talked about previously.
That's correct.
Okay. Questions? Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to read the next one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 42, Environment, Section 49, Solid Waste of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 42, Environment, Section 49, to reflect the service enhancements to the Solid Waste Division related to recycling, brush pickup, and future bulk item changes.
So moved? I don't know.
We got this thing all backwards, but so moved.
Second. I think I caused that. I apologize.
Probably.
These are the rate changes. Excuse me. These are the rate changes that affect the size of material, yard debris that we'll pick up. In fact, we're expanding the size to what's currently in the ordinance. So this is a good thing. It will make things easier and for the citizens putting out brush and lawn services as well. It also cleans up some language regarding rollout placement and when it's to be removed from the curbside and or alley. So just clean up some things to make it match what we're trying to do.
Questions about that? Okay. Then I'll ask the city clerk to read the final ordinance introduction.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 94, Solid Waste of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 94 to reflect the service enhancements to the Solid Waste Division related to recycling, brush pickup, and future bulk item changes.
So move.
Second.
Yeah, I had to read it again to make sure. Lindsay is the expert with these. She has to read these with a fine tooth comb to get the changes right that we request. This will allow us to move forward in the upcoming changes with the bulk item program that we think the citizens will enjoy and that commissioners and mayor you've been asking for. And we think this just that particular program won't be changed until early next year, but this allows us to move forward to moving towards that new program.
Yeah, so just go over again what is going to change first and then what is likely to change after the first year.
Okay, first what's going to change is currently recycling is done only on Mondays. And it's first and third Monday, depending on your trash pickup, or second and fourth Monday, depending on your trash. We're going to change that to recycling will be every other week. Not only that, the recycling pickup will follow your trash day. So hopefully it'll be easier to remember to get them both out at the same time, and it'll be better for residents.
Right.
So we anticipate this will be a very good program. That's in expectations of the planned recycling program expanding due to the changes of all-inclusive fees and things like
Right.
that. So we think it's a win-win, and it's going to work out well for us.
And the brush pickup?
The brush pickup, that will be done daily. When we will announce, there will be no longer a need to call it in whatsoever. We're going to sweep the city weekly, and with that, we hope that no one will have to call in brush, but your brush will disappear in a timely manner. So.
And those changes, those two changes you described are going to happen about the same time, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then what's going to happen later? What are we talking, because we approved something in this ordinance to.
What will change later, currently a bulk item is considered a couch or a chair, a table, or anything outside the rollout, basically. So what we would like, there's a minimum fee for that, and what we would like to do is expand that service to provide a free pickup, I believe twice a year for residents that have bulk items. So there's no fee. After 2, there will be a fee, but we'll track that and things like that. But we think, one, it'll definitely help keep the city cleaner. We understand no one wants things laying around their yard, but there is a cost to dispose of those things, and we think the program, solid waste program, can absorb in our current resources those types of things to help keep the city cleaner and help residents that may not have a pickup truck to get rid of a couch or something like that. So.
That bulk pickup thing is something that I've heard from a number of residents, you know. I mean, it's, I think other cities have done it. You know, I think we're a little tentative. You know, we don't want to just open it up, you know, so you pick up bulk items all the time because we got a plan for it. So we're starting out with twice a year, and we're going to track that and see how that goes.
Correct.
And we anticipate that in the first quarter of
of
next year. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have a question. So my pickup is on Tuesday. I'm gonna roll out both cans.
Yes, ma'am.
Every other week.
Every other week.
Every other
One
week.
can,
both cans.
1 week and 2 cans the next.
So the week I roll out both, well, I don't, but somebody does. My house. I might.
There was no doubt.
That's someone else's job.
Oh, I'm not touching that one.
So he's going to roll them both out. Both trucks are gonna come by
Yes.
that morning.
Yes.
So you can just wait, expect both of them to be coming by at different times of the day? or-
Yes, hopefully they'll be about the same time, but yeah, it depends on how it plays out, because some routes, depending on where you're located in the city, some recycle routes will be extremely light for that day. Others will be extremely heavy, so it just depends on where you're located and the number of recycling customers in your area or on your route. Will they be right next to each other or following each other? But it'll be in your neighborhood on the same day.
I'd just like to say, this is major advantage to live in the city to get this kind of service. And thank
really
you.
is.
It is a big deal to people that live in the city, and
Big
thanks
deal.
for doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
I think so too. I think it's needed. And hopefully we'll see a cleaner city. No one has to be afraid if they have an item to put out. The call, if you live in the city, you don't have to dump it somewhere. Give us a call and we'll.
You know, our solid waste people, I mean, the folks that are out there, you know, picking up our cans, I mean, they touch our citizens every single day. And they are the folks that are closest, you know, to our residents and citizens and their services. I mean, I consider them to be essential services. And we're also appreciative of the work that they do.
Thank you. I'll definitely pass that along to the team members. They're dedicated and they want to do a good job for the citizens.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And Mayor, I would add that we will also be doing some public announcements related to these changes and reaching out through flyers and letters and other things to give some more information, plus on our website.
Yeah, Pam Smith has been very helpful with that, you'll see.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we have a discussion item tonight. And I'll let Lindsay and Chief Laird work through this discussion, but I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll set it up a little bit. So there's been some changes at the state level that allow special purpose vehicles, off-road vehicles, to be approved county by county to be able to operate on county roads. But the city itself, has to approve any of those changes. And in that discussion is that we have a number of neighborhoods that that are close to golf courses. And in addition to that, we have several neighborhoods that are set up in such a way as people would like to be able to operate golf carts. But that's, that's a complex subject because there's safety issues with those. And it's something that the commission, I think, needs to consider very carefully, as we go forward. But there are people, if you go out to a neighborhood, let's take the Pines, for example. Pines neighborhood, there's people that operate golf carts in the Pines now. There's people that are for that, and there's people that are not for that. And so I think it's an opportunity. I think there's a trend nationally that I see toward people wanting to operate golf carts in certain situations. And so I think it's the obligation of the commission to walk us through a discussion to see, what might work in the city of Paducah or might not. So with that, I'll turn it over to our esteemed city clerk.
Thank you. So the legislation that the mayor was talking about was Senate Bill 63 in our last state legislative session. And that adds a brand new section of Kentucky state statute that allows for street legal special purpose vehicles to operate on streets where cities designate that they are allowed. So the mayor and the city manager asked me to do some research on that. I worked with our police chief, Brian Laird, and also Greg Gilbert with our engineering department, and Laura Cowles, our development liaison, and we pulled together some information for you all to take a look at tonight. So I wanted to start with kind of just talking about the differences between these two different types of vehicles. Golf carts have been allowable for cities to implement under KRS 189, and this has been allowable for many years. What a golf cart, how KRS defines it, is 6 people maximum speeds of 35 miles an hour or less, and then max weight capacity of 2,500 pounds. These are defined as slow-moving vehicles under KRS. They have to have headlamps, tail lamps, stop lamps, turn signals, red reflectors, mirrors, parking brakes, seat belts, and horns. So it's not all golf carts, because not all golf carts have all of those, but in order for a golf cart to be street legal, those are the minimum standards under KRS. So that has been on the books for a while. Now, the new legislation related to special purpose vehicles, this creates this brand new section of KRS 186. And what we're talking about here is ATVs, UTVs, mini trucks, and then other special purpose built vehicles. So I was not aware what a special purpose vehicle was when I first started this research whatsoever. So I thought I would lay that out for anyone else that wasn't fully aware. The purpose of this legislation was designed for short distances between trails to get to local restaurants and gas station. So thinking about like the large rural trails out in eastern Kentucky, that's where the legislator lives at. It wanted to be able to impact tourism by allowing these vehicles to hop off of a trail and pop right over to a restaurant, fuel up, and then get back on the trails. That was the purpose of this legislation. But it is open and available to any city that would want to implement it. it specifically excludes golf carts or any kind of low-speed vehicle. The requirements here are more stringent than they would be for a golf cart. A lot of the same things you see, but it also has to have a horn, muffler, illuminated speedometer, windshield or eye protection has to be worn, and then it has to have a roll cage, and seatbelt as well. So those are some of the differences between the two legislations, and anything the city would want to do would be two separate ordinances to enact. So a little bit more about the minimum requirements set under KRS. These are both opt-in legislation, so if the city wants to be in, we would have to pass our own ordinances. We also can be more stringent than KRS. So KRS sets the baseline. If we wanted to put in more stringent rules, we could do that. But the baseline rules for golf carts are they can only be on streets that are designated by local ordinance. They cannot operate on any roads that are greater than 35 miles per hour with their speed limit. They cannot cross any streets that are more than 35 miles per hour streets. They require a local permit and sticker to show that they are permitted in the city of Paducah. They have to have a slow-moving vehicle emblem. They are required to have an inspection. Those are typically done through the sheriff's department, and proof of insurance is required. Where golf carts do not have to do, that is something that a car would have to, is they are exempt from title, registration, and license plate requirements. So special purpose vehicles, on the other hand, are a little bit different. They are not allowed to travel on more than 20 miles on roads with center line markings. So that again goes back to the purpose of the legislation, that they're supposed to come off a trail, go over to a restaurant, and hop back on a trail. There is an inspection required, registration is required. The license plate and title and registration requirements, very similar to what you would see for a motorcycle. And then there is an annual renewal that is required for those. So one of the things we wanted to look at is to see what other cities are doing. So I tried to pull from cities that are similar in size, some a little smaller, some a little larger, to see what is allowed and what isn't allowed. For now, of course, Paducah does not allow either. McCracken County does not allow either. But they do offer registration for the special purpose vehicles at the county. But they're just not allowed to operate on county roads. Richmond, Owensboro, Covington, Georgetown, and Henderson, as of right now, do not allow golf carts or special purpose vehicles. Frankfort does allow them to operate on very specific roads. So they list out in their ordinance, this road from this location to this location, this road from this location to this location. So it's very specific which roads you can operate them on. And it, of course, has to be under 35 miles per hour. They also specifically prohibit them on their bike lanes and their multi-use paths in their parks. Bowling Green is a little bit unique. So they are one of the larger cities, probably the largest that I've seen, that allows golf carts. They allow it on all roads, all city roads that are less than or equal to 35 miles per hour from sunrise to sunset. So that's pretty open as far as what can be done in Bowling Green. They do not allow special purpose vehicles. As of right now, they're not looking into allowing that, to my knowledge. And then I did look at a few other smaller cities. Union was pretty unique. They have a pretty restrictive ordinance. They do allow golf carts on roads that are under 25 miles per hour, so a little bit more restrictive than KRS. And there's an application process to be a road that is designated in the city. So it's not an automatic all roads under 25. It's bottom line has to be under 25 miles an hour, but then you're allowed to go through an application process and the city commission approves those roads to be allowed for golf carts. Calvert City allows both. They recently passed the special purpose vehicles from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. only, and golf carts they allow under 35 miles an hour during daylight hours. And then Katie's also allows the same sunrise to sunset for golf carts. So a few other things as we think through this, some things to keep in mind is our daytime urban population can range up to 75,000 to 100,000 people during the day. We are not a small community, even though we are more in line with the numbers of some of those smaller, our actual daytime traffic population is much larger. So, and then as we consider future growth and future impacts to our traffic, we would want to consider that as to whether and where to allow golf carts or special purpose vehicles. In talking with Bowling Green, they said that their major issue is underage driving of golf carts that they run into. They really haven't had a lot of accidents or issues. People mostly stay within the neighborhoods, even though it is wide open to travel all throughout the town under 35 miles an hour. But they have had a lot of underage driving issues. Parks and trails, if it was something that was adopted for the city, we would recommend that it not be allowed on our greenway trail. And we've talked about that with Amy and our Parks Department and also our engineering department. It would be the recommendation from them. I had our technology department put together a couple of maps for us. So just to kind of give an idea of what it looks like when you talk about all city roads under 35 miles an hour. Everything in blue would be a city street that is less than or equal to 35 miles an hour. So it is a lot of roadway in the city that would be allowed. And then just for, I'm not going to dive deeply into this, but it kind of gives you a general overview. And then if you're looking at 25 miles per hour and under, it's everything in green on this map. And you can see that it does take out some of those roads, like Jefferson and things that would otherwise be in. So it's still a good amount of roadway that would be considered 25 miles per hour or less. And then I wanted to talk a little bit more. Union had an interesting approach with an application process to, so it would be if you are in a neighborhood and you would like golf carts to be allowed in Union, you have to do a petition, and it has to be at least 50% of the property owners that would be impacted that live on that street would have to sign it. Then that application is made to the city. The city staff reviews that, I'm sure, with their police department, traffic commissions, and then make a recommendation to the city commission of whether or not to allow that in that area. And then we would recommend anything be from sunrise to sunset. That used to be a state statute that was changed sometime since 2019. And we would have to work through a local permit process to allow for golf carts. We did a little bit of research on national statistics related to crashes, because we don't have any really to draw from here locally. So I got this from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. They had a report from 2018 to 2020. There were 2,384 off-highway vehicle fatal incidents. So we're talking about special purpose vehicles, UTVs, those kind of things.
Can I ask you, is that also a four-wheeler you see people using?
They call them off-highway vehicles, so I would say that does include some four-wheelers as well.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Kentucky had the fourth most reported fatal incidents of any state, and then 44% of those deaths were children under 16 years of age, unfortunately. And then for golf cart national data from the same source, there's about 15,000 reported golf cart related injuries every year that require an ER visit, and approximately 40% of those involve children under 16 years of age. So there is less fatal incidents with golf carts because they are a slower moving vehicle. However, we do see a lot of underage driving of those. So to that end, I asked Chief Laird to kind of give a little bit more information. The police department puts together collision reports, and I wanted him to kind of talk about that aspect.
Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay brought me in to show you all the great statistics that we have here in the city of Paducah. We felt like it was important to share that information with you. Paducah is a very busy city. As everybody mentions, we punch above our weight. We hear that quite a bit. Well, that's also true with traffic collisions. So you look on the column there on the left, it gives you the year. We average anywhere between about 1,800, 1,700 collisions per year. The injuries, they're off to the side. So far this year, we were at a little over 1,000. You see the number of injuries that are there. So there's usually a couple hundred people every year that are injury collisions, and then the number of people are injured hovers in that 400 plus range. The most important thing I felt like to share with you was the number one contributing factor to all the collisions that we have. The number one every year is inattention, which that can be cell phone usage, that could be eating a cheeseburger, it could just be staring at the police car stopped on the side of the road, writing somebody's speeding ticket. And so those are ranging over 800 a year on average. And so we also included the pedestrian numbers as well as bicycle numbers. We don't have golf cart numbers right now, so that's not something we could include in there. And then also, unfortunately, we do have fatal collisions each year here. Luckily, that's almost always in the single digits. But in the last 5 years, just for reference, you can see there on the far right, there's been, in the 5 years, there's been 18 people killed within the city limits. And that's in a motor vehicle. So felt like that was important to share with you because, as Lindsay mentioned, we expect that the city over the next few years will continue to grow. That will obviously increase traffic. Vehicles have much more safety features than what a golf cart does. And so we just wanted to share all that information with you.
Chief, how would you enforce the law? I guess I get a picture of just seeing golf carts all doing the wrong thing, going in the middle of the street, driving in front of people. So how do you handle that?
It would add another level of traffic enforcement, which is something that we try to work on all the time anyway. If you drive through the city, there's a lot of red lights, stop signs, speeding. So that would, it would take us away from doing that to focus on golf carts. And I think policing that would also be challenging, determining whether or not somebody is of age. We know when Bowling Green's had issues, we anticipate there would be issues with underage drivers.
I do think it adds some unique, positive attributes to the city as well. I mean, we want neighborhoods to have local restaurants or have those kind of things. I'm thinking about those around the Midtown area. Hopefully you could get there by golf cart or the grocery or whatever.
Socializing.
I do think it would add a really nice, unique attribute to our city. I mean, I have people in front of bicycles all the time, or even running, on like Buckner Lane. I'm like, why are you running on Buckner Lane? Because it's hard. You go around a curve and there they are.
Would say also, I mean, and most of the accidents I see, they're around the mall or busy places. I mean, I would think if it was just in neighborhoods where the default speed limit in neighborhoods 25. I'd say if it's just in neighborhoods with 25 miles per hour or less, that it would be. I just don't see a big problem with it because you're not going to have a lot of accidents in those areas and fatalities too. I mean, most of those, I would venture to say most of these fatalities are really, higher speed roads, but
Not
could be the
necessarily. You're looking in
interstate too, or-
there's a few of them, and there was 35 mile per hour speed zones.
If we were to do this, I would favor the 25 rather
I
than
would
35 mile an hour. I don't know. What's the speed limit in Pines?
25.
25, I think.
I won't ask you
I
any more
only go
hard
15.
questions.
Chief, is Friedman 35?
Freedom's 35.
Yeah,
See,
so you wouldn't be
I
able to.
see, I don't see a problem in like a neighborhood, but I would see a big problem with golf carts on Freedman Lane
Yeah. And I think that's the
or out by the
challenge.
mall,
I agree.
honestly. I don't
Well, you
think that they
couldn't-
should be out there if they're states, state highways or.
Yeah, you wouldn't, and, a lot of work, as you can tell, has gone into this, and appreciate the staff doing that. The map that you saw about 35 versus 25, we can't show on that is the cross streets that you would not be able to cross. So you saw the blue that would do that, but a lot of those have cross streets that you would not be able to go more than a block or 2 blocks on that street without anywhere else to go. And so that's another consideration.
And I think the challenge with that is we have speed limit signs and stop signs and red lights all across the city, and those aren't always followed on a daily basis.
Right.
And so we expect that you'll have the same thing with the golf carts. If you identify a street that people can drive on, they're going to drive on other streets as well. So we view that as a challenge from an enforcement standpoint.
I understand. I'm not trying to give you more work or
Sure.
anything. I think it might be worth more us talking to Bowling Green a little bit more and just seeing about that. I do feel like it would add a unique quality of life.
Yeah, my son lives in Nashville, and they have golf cart, so they go different places, so. But just, if someone has a DUI, they can't get on a golf cart, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, they can.
And you do have to be a 16
But I mean, it's not
with a
an out
driver's
for that.
license.
You should
Yes.
have to, yeah, you would have to have a valid driver's license.
I mean,
Yes.
that is a problem I see is people, kids under 16. So I think, that part would have, you can tell. So a lot of
Yeah.
them that they're not, there's no way they're 16 years old.
Yep.
For sure.
I think it would be worth pursuing
I
some
agree.
more.
Is there additional information that staff can secure for the commission as that?
Well,
we want to?
if we were to, what you mentioned about the cross streets, I mean, if that's data that we could pull together, that would show, in a 25-mile-an-hour setup, what the limits would be in certain neighborhoods. And then the other thing I'd like for the commissioners to consider is that, we can designate it by neighborhood. I mean, we could, rather than just do it by speed limit, we could specifically go into a set of streets, and say, it's legal here, but it's not here. So we have some options.
Yeah.
But I have to, I have to agree with, with you, Commissioner Wilson. I do think it adds a quality of life. And I think we need to pursue the way that we can consider implementing it that would make the most sense for us. And so I'll work with staff, with city manager and staff, and we'll continue to do research and come back to you.
And for staff's understanding, we are just talking about doing this in relationship to golf carts. There is not an interest at this point from the commission to explore the
Not me.
special purpose
Not
vehicle.
not for me.
Okay. Thank you.
There'd be a lot of loud mufflers.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
Okey dokey. Thank you, Chief, for being here. Appreciate it. With that, any comments, City Manager?
Just briefly, Mayor Commission, as you well know, and you've seen tonight on full display, our staff spends a lot of time, our team spends a lot of time to serve the citizens of this community. And, oftentimes, I know that y'all all recognize it, but they don't often get, the public accolades that is so often deserved. Just want to let you know that I did receive, and I won't use the individual's name because they asked me not to because they were embarrassed, but I did receive an appreciation back to the commission from one of our team members for your recognition of their hard work. And so they do appreciate that when you take the time to do that. And lastly, I would just say, and we talked about earlier this evening, but a special thank you to our police department for this weekend's, the response that you had. Mayor and I got to see some video this afternoon that, very dangerous situation, and we're appreciative of that. So thank you.
I think we need to all echo that. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
Okay, Commissioners, any comments?
I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank each of you and certainly our city for being in the parade Saturday, for showing up and being out in the park. I think that was a big plus for citizens to see us there. So I just wanted to thank, I know a lot of people worked hard to make that happen, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a big event. You know, August 8th is a big event, and it's really a Paducah event. I mean, it's, when you stop and think, I mean, I know there's other, I mean, I'm not aware of other cities that have an event this large, you know, that celebrate. So I know it's an important event, and I was glad to be there.
I guess I'll just bring back a good report. As y'all know, I was missing from last month's final commission meeting that we had, but I was in Washington, D.C., and just wanted to say I had a great meeting with our Congress, James Comer. I was on a national advocacy with the group, the Forum for Youth Investment, as a congressional liaison for Opportunity Youth, which for those of y'all that may not know are youth between 16 and 24 that are disconnected from work and school. And there, out of 200 participants, I was one of the ones that were selected, and there was 14 other youth, and I was one of the oldest ones there, so I was able to kind of mentor them, because some of them want to run for office and things like that, and they're great advocates from their communities all across from California, up northeast, and everywhere. But we had a great time, and I was grateful for the opportunity to represent Paducah. I also tied it into my role as commissioner, of course, and talked about affordable housing, Medicaid, senior living, and homelessness as well. So just wanted to bring back that James Comer was very welcoming. He actually, they kind of kicked out Fox News to meet with me, so I was grateful for that gesture. And yeah, so we had a good time up there, and I hope I served Paducah well.
All right.
So they kicked out Fox News?
Oh, yeah, they kicked out. Oh, yeah.
Okay, with that, we will, we have an executive session this evening. We do not anticipate taking action afterwards, but I will ask the city clerk to please read the motion.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810, subsection 1G.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.